I'm Zach Cote of Thinking Nation, and in this video, we're going to look at the historical thinking skill of evaluating evidence. Scholars recognize that all good claims are backed with evidence. Trustworthy claims are always backed by evidence. So to explore how this works as a historian, let's start with the definition. Thinking historically means identifying the evidence related to a claim, assessing its validity, and corroborating it by comparing multiple sources' interpretations of events, developments, or processes. So there's really three things baked into that definition. First is identifying evidence, next is assessing its validity, and next is corroboration. And this is really important that when scholars are engaging with claims, the first thing that we have to do is ask ourselves, what evidence is there to support this claim? And just like when you're looking for evidence when you read a claim of one person, you also need to make sure that when you're making a claim that you have the evidence to support it. The other two components after identifying the evidence are really critical because not all evidence is created equal. So how can we figure out if we have good evidence? The first thing is corroboration. And really, within this term of corroborate is to compare. You cannot corroborate something on its own. You have to have multiple sources of evidence. So there's three questions that I like to think about when I'm engaging in corroboration when I'm evaluating evidence. First, is this evidence affirmed or challenged by other pieces of evidence? Next, how does one piece of evidence help better interpret another piece of evidence? And third, what similarities and differences are there between sources that contain that evidence? I want to draw special attention to that second question. How does one piece of evidence help better interpret another piece of evidence? And so what historians do is they'll look for multiple sources around the same event, development, or process. Or maybe there's another book that a historian has written on the event that they're studying. And so they're reading that alongside primary sources, seeing how one historian interpreted a source before they make an interpretation or as they interpret. And this corroboration, this understanding of a source through other sources is critical. But a part of corroboration, in the back of our minds, we're also assessing the credibility of the evidence. Because remember, not all evidence is created equal. Like corroboration, there's three questions that we can ask when assessing the credibility of evidence. Does the author have the credentials or experience to be trusted? How can we know if this source is authentic? How have other experts or trusted individuals viewed this evidence? So when we're looking at the source and we're looking at the author, the creator, we're looking at who they are, what gives them authority to give this type of claim with this type of evidence. How have other people interpreted this evidence? And now this isn't to say that other people that you look at aren't wrong. That can happen. But there is a level of humility that historians can display when looking at how others have interpreted evidence and asking themselves, what might their perspective have given this evidence that maybe I don't share? But if we're swayed by the evidence, we can tell the most accurate story of the past. And what that means is that we're paying respect to the people who embody those stories that we're trying to tell. And that is a pretty great way to demonstrate the historical thinking skill of evaluating evidence.